Pat Robertson is going to give you his genius theory about how don't ask, don't tell is now going to apply to Christians. Pat, take it away.
Well, how the tide has turned, how the tables have turned. Don't ask, don't tell used to refer to gays in the military. Now it could apply to Christians in uniform. And military chaplains are also facing the fact that at times biblical values are even being called hate speech. Man, these chaplains are brave. They're there with the men. They're facing fire. And when a guy's getting ready to go into eternity, he doesn't need some communist and some socialist or some progressive giving him a pablum and some doctrine of political correctness. He needs to know how to prepare his soul for eternity. And you need somebody who'll tell him the truth.
What's your definition of truth, slapstick? You need a religious leader to tell somebody the truth about where your soul's going to die where your soul's going to go when you die in this war we shouldn't be in the first place. Good point, Pat. So I take it you'll allow imams in there, right? You'll allow Muslim spiritual leaders in there, right? No. Oh, you mean it's only your interpretation of your religion that is correct. And everybody in the military should only have that option. The option of what Pat Robertson believes needs to be taught to all the soldiers because Pat Robertson says so. It's so crazy that this guy takes himself seriously. Pat Robertson ran for president in the 1980s and got a decent amount of the vote, which is a scary, scary thought, man. The way that they throw around the word truth is the most perverse, disgusting thing I've ever seen. You go, what truth? What are you talking about? Chaplains need to teach kids the truth about what? About how your God is factual, but your God isn't factual. These guys don't get the way evidence works, the way reality works, how you have to prove claims that you make. You can't take your mythology and say, our mythology is right, teach that as if it's a fact. For fuck's sake, it makes just as much sense to teach the Greek gods or the Roman gods or fucking, different mythologies and fables from Norway or Sweden. There's no evidence for yours over theirs, but they're so sure that they're right in their narrow ideology and understanding. So listen to what he's saying. Oh, don't ask, don't tell is now going to apply to Christians in the military. Pat, the overwhelming majority of people in the military are Christian. The idea that they're somehow persecuted, nonsense. The minority is persecuting the majority. Spare me. That's like saying, white people are held back by black people in the country. Yeah, I know. There are some people who actually believe that, but those people are fucking crazy. Look at the history of the United States, and you'll see very clearly which direction the oppression goes in. And what he's really referring to, I think, is that, chaplains are now no longer allowed to push an anti-gay message, so he thinks that that's somehow violating the rights of the chaplains. And no, the issue is, should the chaplains be able to violate the rights of gay people and other people? See, that's the thing. Their view of rights. Pat Robertson thinks under the umbrella of his religious rights, he gets to take away your rights, and he gets to put you down, because his religious rights override the rights of everybody else. It's a lot like the old Southern segregationist understanding of rights. They thought, no, we believe in states' rights, and we believe in our rights to keep black people down. Yeah, but what about their rights? What about their rights? They have rights. You just think yours override theirs, and they don't. And then the best part is, we don't need some sort of communist, socialist, somebody giving soldiers advice before they go into battle. Because you want to pump soldiers' heads full of bullshit to give them a placebo, the opiate of the masses, right? As Karl Marx said, you want to give them this placebo, this opiate of religion, so that if they go into battle and die, you don't want them thinking it was a waste and that it was a mistake. Well, Pat, the real issue is, why don't you fight no wars that are unnecessary? You're fighting all these wars of choice. You won't need to pump the placebo in their head if you're not sending them to fight in places where they shouldn't be fighting in the first place. So nip the problem in the bud. But the idea that communists are taking over the military, really, communists taking over the military. So before a soldier goes and fights, you have what? leadership is like, Dave, before you go in there and you try to kill the Iraqis, here's a copy of the Communist Manifesto. You might want to look into that. Page 14 is my favorite, son. There are roughly -8 communists in the American military. There's roughly -8 communists in the United States of America who are left. But it's still, in his mind, is the Red Scare, be scared of the communists, the socialists, the Muslims, the atheists. Everybody's coming to get the Christians, even though, of course, it's the Christians who are dominant in the society. And it's the American army and the American military who has been ones lashing out around the world. He makes it seem like you're the ones that are constantly under attack, and you're the one whose Christian identity is threatened, so you need to lash out and fight everybody else. It comes dangerously close to being a pure call for theocracy. In fact, oftentimes they don't even bother to try to hide it. They outright call for theocracy.